It's a bit of a joke in the Dragon Ball universe that death carries no consequence. Thanks to the magic wish-granting orbs known as the Dragon Balls, virtually anyone can be resurrected, no matter how grisly their death. While there are limitations on how and when you can be revived, that hasn't stopped some characters from coming back 2 or even 3 times. But not everyone is so lucky. While the main cast does their best to undo their collateral damage, some unfortunate bystanders slip through the cracks and stay dead permanently. Whether it's forgetfulness, apathy, or just plain incompetence, here are my top 5 cohorts they neglected to revive in Dragon Ball Z. Number 5. The Namekian Tribe. During the invasion of planet Namek, the Dragon Balls are used to revive everyone killed by Frieza and his men. But when the members of one village don't come back, our heroes quickly realize they were killed by Vegeta, and therefore weren't covered by the wish since he didn't technically work for Frieza anymore. Reviving them would prove challenging, since Earth's Dragon can't bring back those who died more than a year ago if the wish is for more than one person. And since the cooldown to use them again is exactly 1 year, the Namekian village is immediately disqualified. Namek's Dragon Balls wouldn't be of much use either, since they could only bring back one person at a time, and since the planet was destroyed, they'd have to waste an entire wish teleporting their souls to another planet in order to avoid instantly killing them in the vacuum of space. The Namekians would eventually upgrade their Dragon Balls to allow for bulk resurrections, but it's unclear whether or not they would also have the 1-year limit. And judging by how the characters discuss these events over a decade later, it doesn't seem like any progress has been made towards bringing them back. I'm not saying it would have been easy, but listen, I didn't see any of Earth's repeat offenders giving up their place in line for the children who got vaporized. Number 4. The Residents of East City. When Vegeta and Nappa first arrive on Earth, their space pods crash through city streets, likely killing dozens. If that weren't enough, Nappa levels the entire city for good measure. This happens shortly before the wish from the previous example, so for all the same reasons as before, the 1-year cooldown would seal their fate permanently. Now in theory, that wish could have included the people in this city. If the 2 Saiyans were still considered Frieza's men at the time of their arrival, and the wish applied retroactively, it's not out of the question that their victims would qualify. But this doesn't seem to be the case, since neither Nappa nor any of the Z fighters were revived either, which implies their tenure ended when they decided to seek immortality and overthrow Frieza. And even if, through some loophole, the city's residents were eligible, Mr. Popo specified that the people in need of revival were on a distant planet, meaning the people on Earth may have been ignored by accident. And since no mention is ever made again of the flattened city, we can pretty safely assume they all stayed dead. Number 3. Everyone not killed by Cell. In the main timeline, androids 19 and 20 make their debut by massacring random civilians of Amenbo Island, ultimately wiping out a huge chunk of the city. This incident would eventually lead to the release of Dr. Gero's final creation, Cell, who would continue the carnage. Upon his defeat, the Z-Fighters would once again use the Dragon Balls to resurrect everyone he killed. But that's just it. They specifically only mention Cell, meaning everyone killed by the androids stayed dead. The failure to revive this cohort is particularly egregious because there were no time limits in effect. They could have just as easily specified everyone who died starting from a certain date, because it's not just the androids who killed people in this time frame. Let's not forget the truck driver who caught a stray during Vegeta's fight with Android 18. The anime extends Vegeta's collateral damage to include a variety of other motorists in the area, making this instance of neglect even more hilarious. Good work, Yamcha, you saw firsthand the violence committed by the androids and still screwed this up. Number 2. Anyone from other timelines. There are no fewer than 3 additional timelines filled with dead versions of the main cast, including all of the original Z-Fighters, future Gohan, and even future Trunks himself, not to mention countless civilians. And that's not even counting all the timelines created and then defiled by Zamasu and Goku Black, which culminates in the erasure of an entire universe. I might be overstepping by mentioning characters from outside the main timeline, since there's no guarantee the Dragon Balls work across universes, but I think it's worth addressing just how much death and destruction is left unresolved. And the solution might be really simple, just pack a set of Dragon Balls in a time machine and you're good to go. This is especially true by the time Dragon Ball Super rolls around, since the existence of the Super Dragon Balls would make fixing this damage trivial. But no one so much as broaches the idea of undoing damage in the other timelines before they send Trunks off to face another nightmare future. Alright, before we get to our final victim, let's see a few honorable mentions. First is Android 16, and this is a bit of an odd one since he was actually killed by Cell, but presumably couldn't be brought back to life because, well, he was never alive to begin with. Unlike Android 17, who's mostly still human and therefore was revived by the dragon, Android 16 was entirely artificial. But considering his death triggered Gohan's ascension to Super Saiyan 2, You'd think they would have made a wish for him to be rebuilt, or at the very least to teleport all his broken parts back to Bulma's lab. After all, she has the schematics and has already fixed him once, like they could have at least tried. And then the last honorable mention is this small family of farmers who were killed because they lived near where Babidi parked his spaceship. When Yamcha makes his wish to bring back everyone who died at the World Martial Arts Tournament, he only specifies people killed that day. Unless Babidi killed this family on that specific day, they definitely would not be counted. And then in the final battle, Vegeta concocts his plan to form Spirit Bomb by making the exact same wish as Yamcha, meaning they again would have been ignored. Thankfully, Dende changed the wording to include everyone since the day Babidi arrived on Earth, which by definition would include the farmers. At least someone knows how to make a wish around here. And now, without further ado, the one you've been waiting for, since it was in the thumbnail. Number 1, the legendary Farmer with Shotgun. Seems to be a pattern that blue-collar workers get the short end of the stick when it comes to wishes. This farmer's humble battle power of 5 was not enough to go toe-to-toe with an elite Saiyan warrior, and in a cruel twist of irony, he was felled by his own slug. But there's still hope. Remember that very first wish to bring back everyone killed by Frieza's men? Well, Raditz is one of Frieza's men. By that point, Raditz had nothing to do with Vegeta's goal to overthrow Frieza, and so he could easily still fall under corporate vision and dental. But even if Raditz was a faithful minion until his death, there's still that pesky 1-year restriction on bulk revivals. The Saiyans were originally scheduled to arrive 1 year after Raditz, but we're told it actually took them a little less than 11 months, meaning there's still a chance for our hay-baling hero. Let's do the math. After the battle with Vegeta, they end up in the hospital the next day. Bulma then spends 5 days updating the Namekian spaceship. It takes 34 days for Gohan, Bulma, and Krillin to arrive on Namek. And finally, Goku spends 6 days on his trip shortly before they make their wish. That's a total of 46 days since the battle with Vegeta. Depending on the month, that means if the Saiyans arrive between 15 to 18 days ahead of the 11-month mark, the farmer's death could just barely fall within the 1-year time limit. The anime seems to think this was enough, since they show him getting bodied by Android 20 a few years later, and he's still around farming in the Buu arc. But as much as I'd like to believe he survived in canon, I can't ignore the part where Shenron says he only brought back people on Namek. And besides, his body disappears after Raditz flies off to find Goku. I mean, he was right there, but it's gone when Raditz returns and we never see it again, meaning there's only one logical conclusion. The pink chickens devoured his corpse, bones and all.